everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Sports Report After Dark. I am your host, Seven. With me, as always, is the worst fucking person on the face of the planet, Dan the Dick Werner. Welcome to Sports Report After Dark, where we dive into the human element of sports and the intersection between sports and humanity. And also, we say the word fuck a lot of times. Just as a heads up, parental advisory is advised. If you're letting your kids stay up this late, please get help. So I wanted to dive in tonight and start off. It's a lot of conversation today about a situation that happened last night in the Phoenix Suns Dallas Mavericks game where a couple of fans had to be removed because of apparently harassing Chris Paul's family, trying to force into a hug and force pictures and stuff like that. And then also at the end of the game, there were fans that were leaving that pushed Chris Paul's wife and his mom. Chris Paul tweeted last night, said that we're going to fine players $15,000 for chirping back at fans, but fans are allowed to lay hands on family. Dan, I'll go ahead and let you open up with this one first. What do you think?
There was people. So let me get this straight. There was people literally that were just overzealous about meeting Chris Paul, or what were they doing?
Chris Paul's mom and wife were the ones that were getting harassed, according to the reports. Their seats, they weren't up in a box or anything. Obviously, playoffs, hard to get box seats last minute. They were in seats that were a few rows back behind the Suns bench.
So it was just them. It wasn't okay. I thought you said it was after game or something with getting pictures.
Well, there was a situation after the game as well where there were fans that were harassing his mom and wife. But the situation with the video that went viral where the kid and his mom were removed, that was trying to force Chris Paul's mom and wife to give hugs and take pictures. And there were also some reports that things were said, other reports that were unclear about that. But it's alleged, we'll say it at that point, according to different reports across the sports websites, that some comments were made as well. And then Chris Paul didn't find out about it until he had fouled out and they were getting removed. And that's when the video was taken of them talking back and forth. And then at the end of the game was when the initial the other stuff happened with the pushing and the other stuff. That was, well, it was alleged to have been those fans initially. It was also a separate issue. Those fans.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let's say the ones that were removed in the viral video. The Mavericks put out a statement today that they've been banned from the stadium until 2023.
Okay. I love that it's not a lifetime ban.
Yeah, I don't think it needs to be a lifetime ban.
I also think that, they might do that. In this particular social climate, there's a way that they could probably do that, right? They probably could if they wanted to, but it's cute. It's cute because it's going to do it.
Here's the thing: how many people do you think can actually afford 4 seats to a Maverick game that are in the Dallas area? That's a small group of people.
Those are things you win with halftime half court shots. That's what you win. You don't win a car, you win one of those seats.
Yeah,
that's how valuable they are.
Yeah. And so I also think that there still seems to be this issue where people think just because you pay money to go see a show, go watch a game, that you get to harass whoever you want. And that's bullshit.
Yeah, not a thing.
It's I was watching Undisputed this morning, as I do most days, and Shannon, when they were talking about this, Shannon Sharp talked about the fact that because he played for the Broncos for most of his career, he couldn't take his girlfriend and his mom. They couldn't go watch him play in Oakland.
I mean,
because they knew what the fans were going to do.
Tony, you know how much I love this, right?
Well,
this is fantastic.
Of course, the black hole is legendary for what it was in the 90s when it comes to Raiders fans and how they treated opposing teams' fans. So I'm not going to sit here with any misconception that Shannon Sharpe was a victim because of the fact that he played for a division rival. No, Raiders fans were mean to everybody that was not a Raiders fan in that stadium. The Black Hole was legendary for a reason.
Absolutely.
But
savages.
It was fucking
Savages.
chaos. Like if you go onto YouTube and look for videos of Raiders Homes game in the 90s, like you will see some of the craziest fucking fans. Like it was ridiculous. Players would pull up in buses and they were getting beer bottles thrown at the bus and eggs and piss balloons. Like it was fucking ridiculous. They were the most savage fan base in football in the 90s.
Absolutely. Tell me, you know what? I think it's taken a little bit of a fall because I went to a game in like 2006, right, with my high school girlfriend. Went to a game with her, and we were all wearing Chargers jerseys in Arrowhead. And that shit, I was a 17-year-old kid, bro, and there were some dudes fucking saying some shit to me that was like making me square up and stuff. Like I was like, "Are you fucking? This is what we're gonna do?" Like it was that bad. Like it was that bad.
Arrowhead Stadium is supposed to be a lot better now than it was back then. But yeah, late 90s, early 2000s, being an away team fan in any stadium was hard.
I love it. I love that savageness. Like that's gamesmanship. As long as it doesn't become an actual, like a couple of drunk dudes should probably fight it out and that's fine. But like, as long as it doesn't like spill over into like regular people are getting into fucking fist fights and shit. Like there's amount of shit that can be talked and it should be talked because that's part of the whole thing. Like that's part of
the experience. Yeah. We've got friends that are fans of the Raiders and the Broncos and the Chargers. And,
I love them.
And we love them. We talk shit and make jokes on them, but it's just that it's gamesmanship and fans having fun. Like there's a difference between friendly sports rivalry.
It's actually friendly rivalry. Actually,
right? It is actually friendly rivalry versus what we see. Versus what we would see, especially then. It's not so. It's nowhere near as bad as it used to be. Like in the last 10 years, especially, they've really tightened down on that type of stuff. But there's certain things like I can get heckling a player, but the second you're like, oh, I'm gonna your mom's a hoe, I fucked your sister,
murder your family. Oh, I mean,
murder your family,
bro. Nothing is off limits. Nothing is off limits.
But that's the reason why they've had to knuckle it down is because it's so hard to police it. For the stuff that would be normal friendly rivalry versus somebody who's taking it too far, spitting on a player, yelling the N-word.
Anything physical or there is absolutely zero reason to just be like blatantly in a dude's face calling him the N-word. There's zero reasons.
Yeah, no,
you know what I'm saying? Like,
absolutely.
As long as you're not taking call him a piece of shit. I don't give a like. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't give a fuck. Like, you call him. There's obviously that couple, but that's like it though. Like, don't make it physical outside of what probably needs to get physical with a couple of grown men at a fucking. You know what I'm saying? Like a couple of grown drunk dudes gonna throw a couple of punches. They're gonna fucking tire themselves out and it's gonna be over. I'm saying like don't like obviously spit and like fight. Don't do anything to the players for one. That's just
or their families. Leave their families alone. They're coming to watch that person work.
Tone, that's where we might differ a little bit. I think if they're ballsy enough to come into that visiting arena, I'm giving them fucking all the shit. But the thing is, I'm just talking shit. I'm not physically. Yeah. I'm not trying to stop them from doing anything. I'm just going to talk shit. And if they clearly are like, if they're in a defensive mode and I'm clearly like not enjoying any of it, obviously I'm going to quit. I'm not going to like keep badgering it, which is what seemed like what happened. Right. I mean,
that's what it sounds like.
They were like basically like, hey, like that's not okay. And like clearly like, okay, that's not okay. And then everyone was still doing it. And that's when it becomes actually bullying, basically.
Right.
Bullying.
And like with the Chris Paul situation, like he was already frustrated because, like you're saying, I will say, just like I said on the Sports Report earlier, I've never seen a game that the officiating was literally the cost. There were mistakes that were made before that. The officiating should have been a problem. But there was a couple of the foul calls on Chris Paul that were, in fact, bullshit. And when you've got family members that are seeing this, and then you're you're continuing to heckle and continue to push, and they're like, hey, you need to back off, and you keep going. Emotions are already high in those situations, especially in a playoff game where that's going on.
Right.
It's common sense should prevail at some point. I feel like.
Absolutely. And yes, they're attacking them, and like it's only 3 of them. And apparently it was like what? It was his mom and who was it?
His mom and his wife, from what I understand.
Yeah, they went too far is basically what I get from that. It's like it got to the point where like they were clearly not like okay with it, or like not trying to like playfully play along, which is also a situation, because when they don't try and playfully play along, there's going to be people who are going overboard with it to like actually try and fuck with them, right? I mean, there's people in the crowd doing that, like they're being very like, probably had a couple of brewskis in most cases, and like just being savages. It's a playoff game. It's high tension.
It is. And I think that and they kind of talked about it like with what on Undisputed when they were talking about it this morning. Shannon Sharp said that if they weren't going to be in a box, they should have had somebody there that was with his group, like one of his security guys, or got the security.
Why wasn't there?
Why didn't they have personal security? Because
CP, man, come on.
There should have been personal security there.
And Phoenix is a different story. Story. Set them right in the middle of Phoenix. Those fans will fucking defend them like they're like the Grail. Like, good luck trying to get to them with anything.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're gonna fuck people up. That's exactly the same thing, though, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is it not? It's just on the opposite end, more negative.
Yeah, it is, and it's a spectrum, especially when you're looking at sports in the playoffs. That emotions are high, and these people are spending so much money for these tickets, and it's a big thing. Some of these people have saved years to be able to do this. I mean, when you think about it in Dallas, I mean, since their last championship run with Dirk, this is the first time they've gotten out of the first round.
Yeah, that's crazy. So,
2011, yeah. And so when you have this, you have these individuals that are just so that some of these people, they save so much money to be able to do this, because they're not going to be able to save up for finals money. And there's not, chances are you're not going to see finals this year. So you might as well get it out, because you're going to have a few years before they're going to be that again, or at least maybe next year. And so
any playoff game would be awesome.
Right.
Any playoff game would be awesome.
Just to be able to go to one playoff game would be awesome. But these individuals, they have spent so much money, and they make a day of it. Usually they have vacation days involved, because they're not going to want to go to work, and they're planning to just get shit-faced and be in the moment and be at the game and be there where everybody's at, the coolest moment for the sport that they love. But when you lose your fucking head and you start harassing people, shit's going to go down.
Yeah.
And if you harass the family member, and I say harass, making jokes with,
like it was.
Right. And that's the thing, is there was a line that was crossed. It is like, I went to
Tone, when they're clearly not into it, right? That's when the line is crossed, right? I mean, honestly, you talk as much shit as you want, and like most of the time, like, or some of the time, the family will be like very like receptive to it, and like, oh yeah, they're talking shit back, but it's not like a serious, like, nobody's gonna try and like fucking hurt you and shit.
Friendly rivalry.
Yes, friendly rivalry. If it stays at that level, like, talk as much shit as you want, and like you can get heated. It's okay, like that's fine, but like don't ever take it to a point that it doesn't need to be at, because it's a fucking sport. It's a sporting event. It's a game. You're watching a game. Like, this isn't real life.
You're talking to somebody who's watching a family member do their job. Like,
yeah,
they're
at a very high level.
At a very, very high level that 0.01% of people can do. So there's, there should be more common sense prevailing in these situations. And it makes the player not like the environment. Right. And, Chris Paul's getting up there. Suns managed to get to the finals, win it this year. Maybe he walks off into the sunset.
There is not a fucking snowball's chance in hell that the Phoenix Suns win the NBA title this year. Not a snowball's chance in hell.
I'm not on record on it, but for hypothetical purposes, if that happens, and you want to have a guy like Chris Paul around the game because he makes the people around him better. He has a lot of knowledge. But if as people, the fans, piss him off and he's like, you know what? I don't want to. The game is fun, but the people around it piss me off. He doesn't want to have to deal with it. And I don't blame him. Nobody would want to have to deal with that too much. But when you treat players like that and their family members like that, these players invest those millions of dollars back in the community. Chris Paul donates to a bunch of charities.
Chris Paul is a pillar of that community.
At
this point,
when you look at Chris Paul, somebody's like, hey, we want to do this charity thing. Oh, okay, what's it for? Oh, Dallas Children's Hospital.
Right.
Phoenix Children's Hospital. Oh, yeah, I got you.
Right. Yeah. Well, I know he is. He's a pillar. He's a pillar of that community. 100%.
And so I just, there's so much that can be lost with the by fans treating players like crap. There's a difference between talking shit and crossing the line. And that's what I'm talking about. We shouldn't be crossing lines. Healthy, chirping and banter and stuff like that. It makes the game fun. The players have fun. It fuels the players with some healthy chirping.
Right.
It does. The best way to watch hockey, go on to YouTube and look at mic'd up videos. Seriously.
Yes. I love them. They're fantastic.
It's the best part of hockey. But if you don't cross that line.
Right.
And because not only is it show that you're being a narcissistic fuckwad, but you're literally bullying somebody at work. It's no different than being a dick to your server. It's no different than, being an asshole to the cashier at Walmart.
Says a lot about a human when they can pile on when somebody's already fucking at a misadvantage or down, right? Like when they almost like beating a hurt animal. You know what I'm saying? Like cornering a hurt animal. It's like, it says a lot about a human being if they can do that. So so obviously those people who did that, I honestly, that year and a half ban's more than just.
Absolutely.
Cuban's not going to do it to everybody. Hey guys, I apologize if anybody notices me looking behind my shoulder all the time. I have my dog in here, and this is the first. She's fucking insane. Like she's eating a pop can right now. She was eating a couple of things of Blistex earlier, just eating them. She thinks it's candy. So she's crazy. She's eating a pop can right now. You can probably hear her. Like she's a fucking nutbag. I'm sorry.
It's the pit. It's the pit in her. She likes to chew. Mine does.
You see her. Look right there on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. She's eating a pop can.
I just.
Anyway,
as fans, we need to be better because it kills the fun of the sport for the other people around when you cause those problems. Because now that's what they're going to remember about their experience, is having to watch that all go down and see it be viral. The Mavericks managed to beat the Suns, and there was a lot of people that were saying the Suns in 5, and the Mavericks have tied it up. That's a pretty remarkable thing considering expectations.
When it's
what's everybody talking? But what's everybody talking about? The fact that Chris Paul's family was harassed.
Yeah, not the fact that, I mean, hey, I think it adds more drama, which Adam Silver.
I mean, yeah, it's a story.
Cha-ching.
It's a story, and the NBA is a business. The more content that's going on online about it, the more money they're making.
Tony, we were talking about flopping earlier, right?
Mm-hmm.
And people say, what would you think most people would say about flopping in sports? Is it good or bad? Yes or no? Like, is it good, bad? 50.
Most people are going to say bad,
right?
Right?
Is it though? Because the most floppiest fucking sport in the world is also the most popular sport in the world by fucking mountains.
Soccer,
football, Tony.
And what was funny, it was Undisputed when they were talking about the flops in the NBA. They were comparing it to the flops in soccer. And
drama class.
What was really funny is if you go on Twitter, if you follow Lil Wayne, Weezy, he tweeted last night, Luka a hoe. And it was because of all of the flopping that was going on. And it wasn't just Luka. I know.
Well, but still, Luka's fucking really good at it.
I mean,
he took the LeBron class. He took it's called the accelerated expert LeBron class. You only get it when LeBron talks to you. Like LeBron's got to talk to you first, and then you just immediately know how to
just
flop.
know.
It's beautiful.
LeBron is so supreme. He just sends you the information. It's like a mental telepathic Bluetooth. You talk to LeBron, and once you've decided you're in, you just know what you need to do.
With every touch, if you touch LeBron James, I've heard this is an actual scientific fact. If you touch LeBron James, your IQ increases by 6 points. If you just touch him. So if you can get on like, which on the cosmic scale, guys, is like a lot. Like, I don't know if you guys know about IQ at all, but like, it's a lot. Like, that's quite a bit. Like, you become a much more intelligent person. Like, basically within. I've heard that's actually been proven. So I didn't know if that was the National Institute of neurology and science. Just look it up. You guys will figure it out. 6 points, guys. 6 points.
6
Fuck Neuralink.
Just touching LeBron James.
Oh shit!
And
I lost my headphones. Hang on. We're back. Sorry, lost my headphones there.
Just touching LeBron James gets you to
6 points.
6
points in IQ. Yeah, you'll become a different person overnight. Like it's basically. Yes, you go from sitting on your couch eating Cheetos to reading books, long books, Tolstoy, things like that.
Tolstoy.
Oh, I attempted.
Really, we're going all the way back to War and Peace.
War and Peace. I attempted it. I did. I got quite a ways through. It took me like 6 months, dude. I'm a slow reader. I don't read. People say they like read books in like a day, like 2 days. I'm like, the fuck are you talking about? Like, I don't think I could physically read it in 2 days' time. Physically read it if I just sat there the whole time.
True story. I read all 7 Harry Potter books in a week one time.
That's nuts, bro. You understand how nuts that is to people like me? Like, I don't understand. Like, those letters are not sticking together sometimes. Does that make sense? It doesn't make sense to you because you don't understand it. Like, you got order to it. You got order to it.
Here's this thing. There is one of the pieces with ADHD. And I didn't realize I actually didn't know until recently that I wasn't the only one that did this. So when you think about books like War and Peace or long books, like we'll say the 7th Harry Potter book also, okay? You'll get going.
Goblet of Fire. I'm just it's like the 4th one, isn't it? I don't know.
The 4th one is Goblet of Fire. Okay, the Goblet of Fire is longer, so we'll use that as an example. So with a book like War and Peace or Goblet of Fire, either one doesn't matter whether it doesn't matter the subject. You get going, the ADHD person's brain is spending so much time predicting and thinking of what's going to happen that they will accidentally skip sentences and paragraphs, realize they missed it, have to go back. And so there's times where for somebody like me, like the first time I read the first Harry Potter book, which is the smallest, Sorcerer's Stone, it took me 3 months to read it because I kept having to go back and reread shit that I'd missed.
Yes, dude. That's spot on. I can't concentrate on the actual words on the page because I'm thinking of what words I just read too much. Like I'm I'm trying like you said, I'm trying to predict it. And like then I don't pay attention to what's going on. I'm almost like I'm seeing it, but I don't understand what's going on. Yeah.
And because once we get that connection with our subject matter, our mind immediately comes to life and we can visually see almost every single piece. Like, the people that are so critical of details, like, for example, the Harry Potter movies, the stuff that was missing in the books, they're pointing out stuff like, oh no, Hermione's hair was up in a bun in this scene in the book.
Impossible to recreate.
Yeah, exactly. Because we see it all so so our minds are at that point where the picture can be painted so perfectly with us once we get it. But if we haven't gotten into it, it's so hard. It's like looking at it's like trying to tune the frequency on the old TVs.
Right.
Like you'll start to see the picture come in and it's kind of there, but it's still not quite coming in. Then all of a sudden it just snaps in and everything's there.
Absolutely. Yeah, dude. I will say that about people who I always heard this quote and I hated it for so long. It's always like, man, the book's so much better than the movie, bro. The book's so much better than the movie. And I'm like, what the fuck ever? Like, oh, okay. Like I hadn't read a lot of the movies I had seen, right? And then than I did the vice versa. And I was like, it's always better when you read it because it's your version of the movie.
Exactly.
It's your version. Of course it's going to be better. Of course it's going to be better. There's no way that somebody else could like take it and try and like encapsulate it. And some people do freakishly good jobs, by the way. But like there's no possible way to do that. It's not going to happen like.
Well, and especially when you look at the transition on something like that from book to movie, you're trying to cover, the average, and I learned this thanks to a Family Guy, actually. So the average Hollywood screenplay is 110 pages. Yeah. And that's like double space. That's mostly just dialogue. And you're trying to get, in the case of Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, that was almost an 800-page book. You're trying to get 800 pages of content into 110 pages.
Not happening. You're doing bullet points. You're doing bullet points of the overall story at that point. It's
exactly
cliff notes.
Exactly. But okay. All right. So let's move on to the next actual topic that we had planned.
There is one. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. So there was a lot of comments, not just about the Suns Mavs game, but about the officiating of the NBA playoffs as a whole over the weekend and some of the stuff that's been called. So first of all, do you think it's impacting it as much as it's being portrayed? And then I'm gonna have a follow-up part to that too.
Okay.
Do you think that more should be done to prevent these scenarios that seem to be happening with officiating in professional sports?
I mean, yes, but like, I think that honestly, it should be part of the game. I think that it is already, especially like what we talked about with NBA officiating. I think it's already part of Silver's plan. I mean, that's like, he's not dumb. What's like I said, like, what's the biggest sport in the world? What does it have that sports in the United States don't have? And that fact is that it is like, it's not just a drama. It's like a fucking, like a chronicled drama. Like it, you know what I'm saying? Like it goes on for years and years. And like, just like Major League Baseball is, right? Correct. That's why we talk so passionately about Major League Baseball dying, is because that is one of the greatest it is a pillar of entertainment, not sports entertainment, entertainment. Right. In the United States of all time. It's up there with Disney. It's in there with Disney, like that kind of shit. Like they're dying, and it's because of reasons that they could probably prevent, but they also have obstacles that Disney doesn't have, such as like there's people who win and there's people who lose. So like there's like actual determined how good are you doing. Do you know what I'm saying? Like Charlize Theron might not be that great of an actress. I don't really know because I enjoy Charlize Theron movies, right? But if Charlize Theron had a win-loss record, I'd look at it and be like, Charlize Theron, probably not that good, right? Probably not that good in her movies. I mean, she might, I might like her, but she's like, not that good in her movies.
Okay, so when we look at, so obviously that's the thing that they're working against. But when we look at the, so like with Pinfall Network, the network that our show is on, they started because of wrestling fans.
Right.
And obviously professional wrestling, sports entertainment, it is relatively scripted and choreographed. So do you, is the...
I think I get what you're trying to ask.
Do you go to where it's more scripted like that, to where you have more control of the story, or by leaving the referees in there that are making mistakes, is that adding in, like you said, adding another element to the game that you have to work around?
Well, I think honestly, Tony, like in general, I think it's accepted that you win or lose in a sport that is considered like a real, like outside of honestly professional wrestling, what other actual outcome is ever determined in sports? There isn't one, right? There isn't one. Yeah, so that's why that
Sunday, any given day, whatever.
It's not scripted. These are actual athletes playing against each other. I understand what you're saying. Like, where do we draw the line as far as like, are we just gonna fucking script all of it, or like, what's what I'm saying? Like,
Right. No, and it's a legitimate question.
Are we going to script all? It is a legitimate question. I think that was what you're trying to kind of ask. Is like I agree with you. No, as long as there's going to be dudes who want to win. There's going to be people who want to win a sport. Like I'm super competitive at everything. Like I just want to win. Right. Like any kind of competitive. Like if I'm mini golfing, like I want to, you know what I'm saying? Like I want to win. Like stupid stuff, stupid shit.
Right.
Like
right.
But at a more serious level, obviously there's going to be people who are like way more like that. Right? They're going to fucking want to like just win their professional sporting event. And I think that will keep it from being entertainment. Does that make sense? Like, I think that's why WWE athletes, they're definitely athletes. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
They're not the same kind of athletes that they're just kind of, they're okay with like being the entertainment first and then an athlete second. Like, oh, that dude fucking, I love watching that dude on TV. Also a great athlete. Right. And what we would start the conversation with is that dude's a great athlete. Love watching him on TV. Right? Like, oh, I love watching. Right. I love watching him. Like, I love being entertained by him. But I know Tim Duncan is good. He's a fucking all-time great. I think he was like top 13 of all time or something like that.
Right? Yeah, he was up there.
Did not enjoy watching Tim Duncan games at all. Didn't give I was like, all right, he's Kevin McHale with a bank jump shot. Got it. I got it. Like, but at the same time, dude dominates. So how good was he compared to how much he was entertaining?
So. Well, like, but that's the thing is like, for me, there, you know, when it came to like with Kobe, statistically, Kobe is an amazing player, and there was a lot of people that loved to watch Kobe play. I was more for the longest time, and it did shift, but in the early part of Kobe's career, I was more of the Kobe is the villain. I didn't really want to watch Kobe play because I felt like he was an ass. He was a ball hog. When I'm watching the Lakers, I want to watch Shaq. You know, that's kind of the mentality that I had. But there was no denying that Kobe was dropping dimes. And, he was already, he was insanely talented. And so I and there's, but I knew he was talented. But I didn't like watching him play because I saw him as the bad guy. He was a ball hog. You know, there was a lot of things I didn't like about his game that I came to appreciate later. Kobe was not passing because he was going to score the point. Why pass it when you can do it, you know?
Right.
That's just, he was good enough to have that mentality. I just didn't see that. But still, he was an amazing player.
He wasn't going to make the right play. He was going to make the play that Kobe thought was the best because he was the best player on the floor. So he thought that his decision was somehow transcendent above everybody else's decision, which is exactly how MJ was. And if you want to know, if you want to know how good fucking Michael Jordan was, okay, I'm gonna talk Michael Jordan now. If you want to know how good Michael Jordan was, he not only had like the imposter phase of somebody trying to imitate him, he then had the imposter phase of somebody actually trying to beat him at being one thing, right? So like Kobe, he was so good that Kobe was considered the second best player of all time for a while. And that was literally because he was just Michael Jordan in a new era. He was just the same player as Michael was. And he could actually match those skills, right? He was every bit of the athlete that Michael Jordan was. And that is saying something. That is saying something. Let me just push that out there. That's fucking saying something. He's up there.
It is, yeah.
But like, just was he, or did they actually count points off for him because he tried to imitate? He imitated him too much, and he also had a dominant big man, one of the most dominant players in the history of the NBA.
Right, and I think that the presence, and I do believe that the presence of Shaq, well, it pulls the argument of Kobe being a GOAT down. Because because
it kills
because Shaq is Shaq, because you can't deny that, right? And so, whereas Shaq was already great when Kobe got there, and then Kobe just took off. You had Jordan, and then Pippen and Rodman came in, and they started doing more, and that's when the championships happened. So clearly, Jordan was the catalyst. Whereas when you look at Kobe and Shaq definitely has some weight in that.
Shaq Shaq was the catalyst, and only because Kobe was so young. It was only because Kobe was so young. And there's a negative for the GOAT conversation off the bat.
Right.
There's a negative, but I'm saying, like, when you're talking about GOAT, you're talking about greatest of all time. We're cutting the smallest reasons that you're not the GOAT out. Like
that's how great you are. Right.
That's how great you are, is we're cutting the smallest fucking reasons. And literally the fact that Kobe tried to copy and not be himself was not be himself as a player as much. Like, I know that Kobe was himself. I'm not saying that. Like, as a player, he mimicked Michael Jordan a lot. He was the redo, and he was never going to be as good as the redo. And now the dude who's might be better than him in completely different ways is not going to be as good as the original either. That's how good Michael Jordan was. To bring it back around in the circle, like, that's how good Michael Jordan was.
And that's what's so crazy about when we start talking about that with these individuals is because of how great they all are. You really have to almost get into analytics. You have to get into these smaller details to be able to discern the truth.
Because that much actually probably separates them. That's the thing.
It's
so minuscule between who you would take. If you're going to go who you take for a franchise in their prime, I'm talking like 21 for Jordan, 20, whatever. Well, 21 to 26 for Jordan. You know the years. Like, just take them in their prime. And you have to pick between the two to start a franchise with, and you're just going to run it out, right? If they're playing in the same fucking NBA, like at the same time, man, I'm taking Michael Jordan. That's from the biggest LeBron fan that's ever lived. If they're going to play in the same era, and it's the 90s, it's 100%. I'm taking Michael Jordan all day, because that savage shit worked back then, right? It did. That was what it was about.
Well, you see, but here's the thing. I mean, the savage shit. I mean, Kobe had that too.
Kobe had the killer, the Mamba,
and so you put that. I mean, and so I think that would be a nice little element there, but I have to kind of go with you. In the 90s, I'm taking Jordan. In the 2000s, I'm taking Kobe.
That's why I get so, like, weird about the Jordan. I've had it with so many people, the Jordan LeBron thing. I've had it with so many people, like that conversation, and people who really know sports, like you, and obviously, and all these guys, and obviously fucking, yes, Gene Simmons. His name is Gene Simmons, guys, just so you know. He has the tongue just like him. No, but like, I get to talk, like, but here's what always comes. That's what we just talked about, is what always comes down to. It comes down to the fact that if I'm just, like, making a basketball player in a fucking lab, and I'm going, what's going to work most within the game of basketball? Like, what's going to work, just, like a tool that you're plugging in? I'm taking LeBron James. I'm taking 6'9", 260 that can run like a guard. That's what I'm taking. Is if you're just going to, like, simulate out an entire career, right? That's what I'm taking. I'm going to take those odds. Jordan had a different element that people that they did see, but it's like it's unanalytical. There's a thing outside of analytics, and that's what we were talking about with analytics as well.
Yeah, and this kind of brings me into the other topic that I wanted to kind of talk about, because, like, with Jokic winning the MVP, when we look at the mojo, we look at the NFL. There's always debate about who wins the NFL MVP, and with the NBA and the NFL and even Major League Baseball MVP, there's usually some debate. And so it's a regular season award, but there's so much weight behind that award and what it means for the game, for that season, for that player, for their future,
for the NBA.
For the sport, of the respective sport, regardless of which league it is. Is there a better way to do it
than what the NBA is doing?
Right, because when you look at it, like, Jokic got
probably not
the analytic wise, Jokic was the best player. But when we add in the eye test and what you're visually seeing, like, when you look at stats on paper, there's a lot of people that could see Lamar Jackson being in the consideration for being up in the general direction of Patrick Mahomes as far as talent-wise for the NFL as a quarterback.
Right.
But when you watch Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson play football, you can see why Patrick Mahomes is a better player. It's the eye test. There's things that analytics can't translate. And when you look at the players, yes, Jokic statistically, great season. But Giannis is the Greek freak for a reason.
I test Giannis Antetokounmpo is the best player in the NBA every year at this point. Watch his fucking games, dude. This is what I'm talking about. Like, this is the difference between Jordan and LeBron. It's exactly the same thing. Like, that eye test, for me, that was the eye. Like, I was like, okay, well, yeah, LeBron obviously does not have the fucking same mentality that Michael Jordan had. Obviously, guys. I'm conceding all of that. I know that. Like, I know that. I've seen it. But, like, just if you're going to put a guy in there, like, you just, like, eye testing it, like, you're like, oh, shit, yeah, I want that guy on my team. Like, number one. Sorry. Yeah. He's coming number one. Like, that's all I'm saying.
And it's like, when you look at, like, eye test in baseball, eye test is huge when you're looking at power hitters because most power hitters hit around 240, 250, 260, and they're very streaky. So you've got to be able to look at that on the streaks and the bad, the good streaks and the bad streaks, and look at it because the stats that you're seeing as far as like on base and all the strikeouts and the batting average and stuff like that, like, it's hard to really discern if they're a good power hitter. And when you look at, I would much rather, even at the fact that if the Suns make it back to the finals, good chance we're going to be facing the Bucks again because of how Milwaukee's playing.
Right.
I don't want the Suns to have to face the Bucks in the finals because Giannis is a fucking savage freak and he's a damn good basketball player.
He's going to grind. He's going to grind you.
Yep.
He's going to grind you for 7 fucking games. And at the end of it, you don't know which way that ball is going to bounce. Like, nope. Is he going to take over and, like, make the last shot? Is he going to go Jordan over Elo and do that shit and, like, make the last? That shit doesn't really exist anymore, guys. I'm not joking you. Like, that the NBA now is so fast paced that, like, it's just like kind of who ends up with it. Like, a lot of these games end in like a fucking full court, you know what I'm saying? Like, one-on-one foul and stuff. Like, it's not like there's no, like,
what was that finals game? It was a game 2 last year where it was down to like 1 second and Jay Crowder threw that pass up and Ayton caught it and dunked it.
Yep.
Like, that's how NBA games end now, which is great for the entertainment and ratings because you want to watch until the very, very end.
Right.
But I mean, eye test. I would rather watch Giannis play than Jokic 100 times out of 100.
Yeah.
And if I have to pick between the two, I would honestly, I would take Embiid over Jokic as well. Just because of not just eye test on that one, but also Embiid game knowledge, I feel like is much deeper than Jokic's.
See, that's the thing. Like, dude, well, I think that Jokic's game knowledge is like, if there was an awareness setting on 2K1, which I don't know if there is or not. Jokic's awareness is going to be 99. Like, that's kind of like, it's like the awareness and the clutch stat for all the gamers. Like, it's like the awareness and the clutch stat are like super high up. And then, like, rest of his skills just kind of, there's a way that you can do it that's not quantifiable. It's not watch Luka Doncic play basketball. That dude is the most unathletic guy on the floor the entire time he's on the floor. He's the most unathletic. Things move slower for him. Like, everything moves slower, exactly like it did for Steve Nash. It's kind of the same thing.
Here's the telling stats when you think about Luka as a basketball player. In the first 2 games of the series against the Suns, the Mavericks lost both games. Luka averaged 40 points a game.
Yeah.
They get back into Dallas. Luka backs off. The last 2 games, he hasn't broken 30 once, I don't think. But he also has double the assists each game that he was averaging when they were in Phoenix.
Right.
because he's passing the ball more. Jokic, Luka can put up 40, 50 in a game, but they're not going to win that game.
Right.
And that's why I can't
still to be seen.
And that's why there's people that say Luka should be MVP. I have not seen MVP quality stuff out of Luka yet.
Who said Luka? Show me one NBA actual fan who told me Luka Doncic should be the MVP of the NBA, and I will call them a liar. I will call them a liar to their face.
The Mavs fans multiple times over the last 2 days when Luka was at the line were chatting MVP.
They're Mavs. Well, obviously, that's a sign of respect in the NBA. Let me educate you on the NBA real quick. Let me educate you a little bit. That's a sign of respect. There's probably about 8 to 10 guys in the NBA right now that get that chant on a regular basis. And they're the top 8 to 10 players in the NBA. So everybody thinks their guy should be the NBA, or the MVP. Obviously, Dallas fans think that Luka Doncic should be, and justifiably so. He's one of the top 6 players in the NBA, 5 to 6.
Okay, yeah, I'll give you that.
Okay, so that puts you in elite company. You're not only the elite of the elite, you're now the elite of any team. You're elite in the world at that point. They think he should be the MVP. The hometown fans do. Dame Lillard gets that chant. Joel Embiid gets that chant. Nikola Jokic does get that chant because they love him. They love him. They love him in Denver. All those pot smoking hippies. Goddamn, with your goddamn pot smoking.
Booker gets it too.
Booker gets it.
LeBron James used to get it.
LeBron James gets it.
Yeah,
because that's gonna be the thing for a while. Jordan would still get it if he was if he was 51. They'd be like, yeah, MVP. If he's making some free throws at the end of the game, they'd do it. It's a sign of respect almost. It's not they actually think. No reasonable Dallas fan would be like, yeah, Luka Doncic, because he missed a lot of games and stuff towards the end of the season. You just don't do it, and that's basically what happened. But yeah, it's a lot of politics. A lot of politics. Nikola Jokic won because the lowest percentage of fans in the world of NBA basketball is in Europe, and that's
why not give it to Giannis then?
Greece would be considered. Yeah, well, we're not going to get technical about it, but Greece would be they'd be they don't. It is. I know it's still Europe, but they're. But you already gave it to Giannis, though. Is the thing. So you already did. Giannis. Giannis has already got the 2.
Oh, that's right. He did get back to back too, didn't he?
He went. So it's been back to back, I believe. Or I think Giannis might have skipped you. I don't know, but it has become that on top of the fact that you're giving it to the guy who you probably shouldn't There was years where Jordan should have got it every single year. He should have won MVP every year. I believe he's a 6-time MVP. All 6 of the years, ironically. But never got. Yeah, so he at one point he should have just been MVP every year. They're not going to do it because it gets repetitive. It's almost like what Tom Brady forces the NFL to do and just watch him in every Super Bowl. That's because he won. They can actually elect the MVP. They're not going to keep giving it to the same guy because it gets repetitive and people get sick of them. People start hating them. Is what happens. Honestly,
which is arguably what happened to Tom Brady as well.
It is what happened to Tom Brady. It's definitely what happened to. LeBron just became so big that everybody hated him. Lady Gaga. A lot of people haven't even heard. Lady Gaga is a fucking unbelievable musician. She's fucking unbelievable. She's unbelievably good. Unbelievably good. Prince level, Elton John level good. That's how good she is. Okay?
Vocally, yes, I will give you that. Yeah.
And people started to hate her because everybody liked her because she was so good.
Well, it's
what happened.
Right? There's always those bands. The Beatles. They got overplayed, so there was a bunch of people that hated them, despite the fact that they were decent musicians.
Decent? That's a conversation for a whole different time. The Beatles are possibly the greatest rock band that's ever existed. But go ahead. Sorry.
But across every big section in music, that's always been a thing. The 90s, Garth Brooks was one of them. Garth Brooks is a legend. Very talented performer. Yes, he doesn't write most of his music, but He doesn't need to because people write them for him. He makes millions of dollars a year performing music that other people painstakingly wrote. He just goes, okay, well, we're gonna add a fiddle here and a guitar solo here, and I'm gonna sell 10 million records. Okay. Nickelback, same reason.
Nickelback,
same reason. There was Tony, most people.
Because we all just want to be big rock stars,
right?
Living in hilltop houses, driving 16 cars. That's what we all want.
Most people, even the people that hate Nickelback, completely hate it. That first 1 or 2 albums, decent.
This is how you remind me of what I really. Yeah. Oh yeah.
When nobody could figure out if it was Creed or Nickelback.
I got Nickelback self-titled on the old album over here, on the old fucking record player.
And then
I got their self-titled.
They blow up into the more poppy view, and all of a sudden everybody hates them, and they're selling these canned records, and
selling out arenas, selling out every fucking arena that you can imagine. Just the biggest cities, though. They'll just do like 15 cities and sell out.
And I think it's the ones that get big too quick. Dane Cook fell victim to that too. Because Dane Cook is a legitimately a decent comic. I've seen him live a few times. He's really good.
I've heard I've literally heard from actual. I just listen to comics a lot when it comes to that,
right.
And the comics literally say dude, that guy is a fucking freak. He's so good at it that he became not good at it. He was so good at it, almost backpedal on himself because he was so good at it.
There was so. Because if you watch Dane Cook on stage, just watching him at a regular show, not an arena show, watch, go in and watch videos on YouTube of Dane Cook just doing a set in a comedy club.
Yeah.
And you will not have a question that Dane Cook is damn good at comedy. He knows what he's doing. And, but he blew up in the mid-2000s. He fucking exploded.
It was the one where the special where he had the shocker on the floor, the shocker on the floor.
Yeah,
the shocker. Sorry,
it was the shocker on the floor.
Yeah, oh shit, I don't have a biggie. Anyway,
2 in the pink, 1 in the sink, this.
I've never done that before, Tony. I'm a virgin. But yeah, it's weird. I know. 33. I'm waiting until marriage, Tony. It's a very strict thing for me.
Yeah,
trust me. Yeah. My girlfriend doesn't like it anymore than you do. It's a rough time to be a virgin. It's a very rough time to be celibate, guys.
But it's these athletes, these musicians, they all if you get too big too fast, the hate will the groundswell of hate that comes up as a counter will be just as huge.
Just fester. Just let it. Your greatness, you know what it does? It intimidates people, is what happens. Intimidates is definitely the right word. It's very it's just why?
Well, and then there's always going to be people that just love to hate. Oh, this is what's wrong with this. The boy band era in the late 90s, early 2000s with the Y2K pop. These people, it's just 3-chord canned pop. You don't realize that these guys are spending an hour and a half under these blazing fucking lights, dancing and singing simultaneously. Get up there and you do that your fucking self, bro. And then tell me these guys aren't talented.
I would love to see any of these fucking hard rock metal loving fucking motherfuckers tell me to my face without fucking grinning that they've never at least been like this to a Backstreet Boys song. Get out of here. You have motherfuckers. You all have, and it's okay. I have too. I'll get down to some NSYNC sometimes. I like to play.
But that's the thing is that these things they get so big,
because they feel good.
Because LeBron coming onto the scene, Kobe coming onto the scene, Michael coming onto the scene, because Michael was another one. He was super hyped up. He was a very popular player when he came into the league, when he got drafted.
Not near as hyped as LeBron.
Not near as hyped as LeBron was, but there was still that dramatic. There was still a lot of attention, and he had already started to drift into being a pop culture figure.
Right.
And so, of course, there was all of the hate on Jordan, and because at the beginning of his career, he had a hard time getting past Larry Bird in the playoffs. There was that argument as well the whole time, and these people just built up excuses to not like this guy that a lot of people were saying was good because they got attention for being on the other side of the argument.
Right. And they both got a little bit of time first. I mean, LeBron. I mean, what Jordan went 7 years without winning the finals, and then LeBron went 9.
Yeah, he didn't get past the first round first. Yeah, his first 7 years, he didn't get past the first round.
It was more than that. He didn't win a title for 10 years. It would have been 8 years.
No, it was 8 because it was 93 and he came into the sign.
1993.
I thought he got drafted. He drafted in 85.
Sorry, 91, 92. I'm sorry, 92, 93, 94, 95. Then it was 96, 97, right. 90. No. Okay. I'm wrong. It would have been the six, whatever they split years. So, I think it was 90, 91, 91, 92, 92, 93, and then 93, 94 was a different. Then 94, 95, 95, 96, 97, 98 was the last 3. Yeah, we got that right. Anyway, yeah, that's weird. But basically 90, 91, 92, 93, 95, 96, 92, 93, 94. That's what it was. Yeah, gotcha. Sorry,
because it wasn't because they didn't get it in 95 because
he liked to play basketball.
He went to play baseball,
and baseball.
It's just
he was for switching professional sports in the middle of a professional sports career. Did a pretty good job.
It's not like Bo Jackson, where Bo Jackson played him all the whole time, and that's why he was able to do both competitively at the professional level and put up decent numbers. He had to completely go back to a sport he hadn't played competitively since, because he didn't play in college, right? It was just high school, right? Or did he play in college? I don't think he played baseball in college.
He did not. No, he just
I was saying, Nope. So
his dad just wanted him to be. Dad just wanted to be a baseball player because his dad was a baseball player. So, and his dad died. But I did the numbers, Tony, roughly. And we're talking about how crazy it is to be a professional athlete in the first place. Professional athletes are 1 in every 36,363 people. So you're 1 in 33,000 on planet Earth. All professional sports. Anybody who's a professional athlete is 1 in 32,000. So there's a lot, but there's still obviously not a lot because.
Are you just factoring in?
I'm literally doing rough math. I'm doing rough math and what I've seen and what I've kind of read up here.
Okay.
Which seems to be about the same number. It's about 1 in every 35 to 40,000 is what I've kind of gathered. So 1 person in every 40,000. Those are low odds. If those are your odds at like a racetrack, you ain't going to the racetrack. You ain't going to the racetrack ever, not once. Yeah, they're crazy. Like that's a lot of. I mean, I just took 8 billion. 8.5 billion divided by 22,000, which would be that's 1 in every.
About how many professional athletes? Okay,
per person.
Well, I was just saying if you were figuring for professional athletes in the U.S. and U.S. population, or if you were going worldwide, what you're doing.
I kind of went U.S. I kind of went U.S. because I think it's about 20 to 22,000. So yeah, you're right. It didn't go whole world. But it's mostly soccer. I mean, it'd be mostly soccer though. It would be only soccer, right? There's no other professional sports. Like we own all the professional sports.
No, I mean because there's other types of professional sports. Like you've got cricket over in.
Sorry, Tony. I'm talking about like. Good point.
There's basketball leagues in other countries, baseball leagues in other countries.
No. I'm cutting. When I'm saying professionals, I'm not talking about semi-pros. I consider all those guys semi-pros. Like the UEFA is pro. UEFA is pro soccer. That's pro soccer. I don't consider fucking the U.S. fucking soccer league, which I can't think of the name of right now because that's how good it is.
MLS.
The MLS. Sorry. Yeah. See how good it is? I can't even. Yeah.
He's such an ass.
Yeah. Those are semi-pro leagues. The MLS is a semi-pro league. If you guys think it's a professional league, then go over and play in fucking. Oh yeah, you tried to. That's why you're in the MLS. So seriously though, that's professional league. But we have all the pro leagues. Like there is no Chinese basketball team right now, and China's huge into basketball, and they're fucking really good at it. There's no Chinese basketball professional team right now. Professional. that could beat an NBA team. Not one.
You think even the worst NBA team?
Even the worst one. Just like when the people say that college teams could beat pro teams, good fucking luck. That's not just the guys you have on your team, bro. That's the best out of everybody then put on a team. They might suck in the NFL because everybody's fucking unbelievably good, but like they don't suck compared to you. They're going to fucking dominate you. Every one of those guys is going to dominate. If you have any weak spots, they're attacking it. You're going to get beat. You're going to get fucking beat. They're going to beat you the fuck up. They're on a whole different level. That's the thing. Like that's why they're called the NFL. It's like a thing. But like I'm only taking those leagues. I'm only taking like the actual professional leagues, which is probably more though. Probably cut that number by a couple thousand, but still, either way, incredibly rare. Any way you slice it down.
Yeah, in any way you slice it. But yeah, it's a remarkable achievement to do that, and then to be at that level, like and we were talking about officiating. Obviously things can be better with some of these things with officiating, but we also have to recognize how hard it is to get to that level of officiating where you're officiating a professional sport, and how good you really actually have to be at that level, unless you're Angel Hernandez.
And Ixnay Angel Hernandez, which should be Angel. Tony, I think that we're on the same boat. Like we're for robot officiating in baseball, right? I think robot officiating in baseball is actually doable.
It is
a mechanical sport. It's so mechanical that I think it could work.
There was a pitching coach that I follow on Twitter, and he actually, and I shared this on my baseball podcast, the Winter Meetings. You can check it out Sunday nights at 9 Eastern. Shameless plug.
Hashtag shameless plug.
Hashtag shameless plug.
Also,
he shared that he felt like one of the things that could make the calls easier on umpires and help with accuracy would be if you give the home plate umpire an ear piece for pitch comm for the pitchers that use pitch comm.
Yeah. What
do you think?
And so they can actually track the pitch better as far as
they know where it's going to go.
Yes and no, because those pitches don't always come out. Like I feel like that's gonna it's almost like gonna flashlight their view instead of fog lighting it. Does that make sense? Like they should be open to anything at all times, and that's kind of what makes like the focusing in on it even better is that you're trying to like react to it. If like say that Garrett Cole says he's gonna throw a 2-seamer outside, that umpire hears it, is immediately going to be going like this. He's going to box up that outside corner, right? And he's not going to understand that sometimes Garrett Cole and other pitchers are going to throw pitches that don't go there. And then he's not going to see a lot of them. Dude, it's fucking literally, we've talked about this. Like I was an umpire. These are 75 mile an hour pitches. I was like, Jesus, sometimes I don't see them.
So that was kind of where my hesitation lies, is because like I can see where it would help if the umpire knows, if Joe West knows that Scherzer's getting ready to throw a 2-seamer that's going to be low, it's going to be on the outside corner, bottom outside corner, that's where he's going to be looking. And if Scherzer misses, is he going to call the strike zone correct? It could still leave more chance for error because pitchers miss pitches. And
it's almost like you're pump faking the umpire. Right.
That's why and it could inadvertently pump faking the umpire.
Yeah. Not trying to, but like trying to like help him, but it makes it weird and he can't call it normally because that's how he's been calling pitches his whole life is without it.
And that's
so these guys are all going to be learning it. Yeah.
That's why I think that the robot strike zone is the best solution.
It is. Have sensors on the dudes and on the bases so that they can just electromagnetically communicate if that foot touched with the other sensor or the glove touch, like have just put little sensors and everything. They absolutely have that technology. Am I wrong? Like you just put a little sensor in something and like say like, this is when that part of the glove touched it. Like, even if it's wrong, sometimes the humans, they're going to get it more like wrong more times. Aren't they?
I would say there's definitely there can definitely be more human error than computer error on some of those. And I don't know that you need to do it on, bases and runners and stuff like that. I think you can stick with just the strike zone.
Yeah, I'm talking ultimately, but yeah.
I mean, ultimately, like, just the robot strike zone is enough.
It should be enough, you would think.
It's good. Because yes, every once in a while you see an umpire call somebody out of the plate and they were safe. But most of the time now, especially because in Major League Baseball, you can challenge calls now, and you don't have to be as worried about saving it because how little those plays actually come up where it's that close in baseball. Since they've gotten the challenge, you haven't really had, the Yankees lost because they wasted their challenge and didn't use it at the right time.
Right.
That's not a thing. So
no, it's
I feel like the on the base stuff I'm less worried about than getting the strike zone correct, because
safe out calls really aren't deciding a whole ton of games because they're so infrequent compared to balls and strikes. Right?
Yeah, the balls and strike accuracy needs to be improved, especially because you've got multiple umpires that are not putting up the numbers that we would prefer to see. There's feeds on Twitter that you can go check out where they can show scorecards of how home plate umpires did each day for a game, and you're going to see most of these guys, remarkably enough, perform at about 94 to 95% calling balls and strikes. That's the average in Major League Baseball, and that is in that 94 to 95. Which, being able to get that many right with that split second of a decision and realization and being able to locate where it was at, where's this player's strike zone at, stuff like that. You have to, to be that accurate for a majority of those umpires. That's fantastic. But we have the technology to bring those bottom guys up, like your Angel Hernandez's and Joe West. I know he's retired now, but of those examples, you're pulling up that bottom end and making the top end that much better.
Right.
Nobody loses when balls and strikes get called 100% correct.
I told you what the cutoff for Nebraska high school baseball umpires is, right?
Would you say 88%?
80%.
80%.
80% is the cutoff. And Angel Hernandez was flirting with that line a couple of times. So, like, is it jumping to a conclusion to say that I'm as good of an umpire as Angel Hernandez? Probably not.
Not really.
Let's be honest. I'm kidding. This is a total joke. He's weird. But no, but for real, like, that's the cutoff for, like, to be a high, like, you're good at it if you can, like, call that percentage against 80% correct. You can miss 1 out of every 5 pitches. You could just miss on it, whether it's a ball or strike, and you're still good. So, like, that's how crazy it is. Like, it's nuts. They're coming in weird. You got to get up underneath the catchers. Really, like, it's unbelievable how fucking crazy it is, because you don't know, especially in the lower leagues and minor leagues. Some of these guys come out throwing fire and they have no idea where it's going. They have absolutely zero idea where that thing is going. You don't know where it's going for sure because they don't, and they're throwing the pitch. So good luck calling that, because sometimes it's going to come in backside, look like a ridiculous 2-seamer, and they didn't mean to do that. They didn't mean to do that. Just painting the edge. They didn't mean to do that. Like, they're not actually controlling anything. But a lot of these guys,
not a thing.
Not one fucking thing. Then they're trying to get past these dudes. Like, obviously in Major League Baseball, like, good luck pitching to Juan Soto. Go pitch to Juan Soto. Figure out how that goes for you. That guy covers like every single fucking point on the plate. Watch him. He, like, just gets down in the perfect spot and he can just reach anything. Extend his arms. He's got a perfect swing. Left-handed. Good luck. Good luck, guys. Seriously, he'll fucking bomb anything that you throw. Anything that you throw, he'll fucking hit it.
True story.
Yep. Vlad Guerrero too.
Vladdy and Acuna's getting back up there already too.
I'm talking about Vladdy Senior, but Vladdy Junior.
Junior's already working his way up that.
He is. He was better faster than his dad.
Yeah.
Does he have some, like, it's weird because his dad was like a tall, skinny guy. And then
he's like, a little. I think he's a little more stocky. He's more stocky than his dad is. That's for sure. His dad was a lot scrawnier.
Yeah, they're from what is it, El Salvador or is it?
I can't remember.
It's one of those incredibly numbered South American countries. Like there's so many of them. It's like 3 up here, bro. There's 3 in North America. There's 3, and they got like 118. How are we supposed to like figure out where they're at? I don't know where Ecuador's at and shit. Do you know where Ecuador's at on the map, Tony? Could you point out Ecuador?
I know it's in Central America, but that's as far as I'm going.
That's the generalization because there's like so many. Like if they just had 3 down there, we'd be like, there's Brazil, there's Uruguay, right? And then one of them is just called South America. Easy enough, right?
No.
That'd be the difference.
No, you're thinking of South Africa.
But I know I'm making it up because I'm saying like that's like the northern version though. Like all they have is Canada, Mexico, and then one that's literally called the continent. It's just called the continent. It's like, oh yeah, that North America place is fucking United States. Obviously, I'm fucking around. Anyway, Tony, get your neon sign. Oh, there's no neon sign up there. Fucked it up. I fucked it way up, Tone. It's on here.
God damn it, Dan.
I know.
This is why we can't have nice things.
I usually got my background.
This is 100% your fault.
100 and check. My background lady was on vacation.
She's on vacation?
She's my background lady. Don't roll your eyes like that. Unbelievable. Background ladies are real people.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean they get vacation.
What?
That doesn't mean they get vacation. We don't get vacation.
4 days a week paid.
4 days a week paid.
I don't make people work too hard. This is not a successful company.
You're a better boss than me.
Don't give a fuck attitude.
All right. But okay, so the other thing we were talking about with the officiating. We'll finish up on this and we'll be done. We were talking on a sports report earlier about adding a 4th official on the floor with the NBA.
Love it.
I think that's a great thing. Yeah, you just back and forth. You only got to cover half court on your side.
And then you just rotate from being the top guy, who's literally going to be about 4 feet inside of half court on the corner, and then the 2 guys on the baseline are going to be like probably 12 feet apart, like halfway in between the rim and the outside 3-point line. Yeah. And you just exactly like they do now, except for there's only 1 guy on the bottom, and they do the 2 at the top. You just make it all because the inside parts are like the ones that they get so pissed about. Like all the NBA players get so pissed when an outside guy who's supposed to be out there, who's supposed to be guarding like the other side of the ball, like when it gets reversed, is calling a foul on the inside because he wasn't standing right there. Like he doesn't know what he might have heard something. He doesn't know what he heard. They could be hitting their own hands together when they're going up for shot, like anything. Like he has to see it up close. Right. There's only 1 guy, and that guy gets fucking berated the entire game. It's always 1 dude or like 2 guys who just get berated the whole game.
I think that it could be better. So so you've got that. What do you think the NFL could do? About
missed what is the NFL? I don't think the NFL is doing that much wrong. I think that they think that they are because of the overtime. I think the overtime rules somehow getting blamed on somehow it's like refereeing. That's actually like totally a league issue.
The overtime rules. That's a completely different thing.
People blame it on referees though. They're like the referees made that up.
With the referees and like missed PIs and offsides and holds and stuff like that weren't called. Is that going to be similar to the NBA where you add another official that's kind of in there? But they already have 1 on each side, 1 in the back, 1 in the front. Like they've got 4 already on the field. I thought, isn't that right?
They're also shockingly good at their jobs too. Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like they're
not knocking them at all. But is there something that they could do to improve it, in your opinion?
I mean, not just like the NBA, like not really. I mean, add an extra official in the NBA. If you add an extra official in the NFL with how that sport is run, about how it's literally split second all the time, literally everything is within, they call it the game of inches because it's literally the smallest flinches of like, because you have to go so fast for such a short period of time that every single millisecond is essential basically to the overall play is the idea, right? And
Right.
that's never going to be able to be completely officiated. Like they say that there's holding on every play in the NFL. Probably close. I'd say 75%. Somebody probably technically holds somebody, but if it's blatant or not, and that's like the thing. Like, does somebody foul somebody on every drive in the NBA? Yeah, probably. There's probably a foul like most of the time on somebody. Like somebody could technically be called for a foul. Like there's by the terms of the foul.
The letter of the law, there's a lot of fouls that could be called that don't.
Because that's just the way the game flows. And like if it's blatant, it happens. And it's just blatancy, I guess. I think it's a lot about blatancy, about how obvious you are about it, honestly. Holds especially, because they see the jersey come out. That's all they're looking for. It's just like they have to watch 5 guys at the same fucking time. Good luck with that. 5 on 5, same time. Good luck figuring out who the fuck's doing what, because you're gonna be looking at one person and you have to do it all within like 3.5 seconds, basically. So, good luck. Unless you pull somebody down with their jersey, get away with it. And that's probably a skill too, is getting away with it. Getting away with it is definitely a skill.
I would not be surprised to see that that's something that they teach.
They do.
Especially
they absolutely do.
At college and NFL level, or college and NBA level, and all of that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. In college, it's keep your hands inside to the offensive lineman. Keep your hands inside and grab them. Because if you keep your hands in here and you can go wherever, right, and they won't see your arm come out. Because when they fall, that's when people get called for it. Is when you have your hands extended out here, and then they fall, and you have a hand on them still. That's a hold, right? They'll see that arm flare out. But if you got them up in here, you can't see anything. It looks like you're just backing with them, right? And if you can keep them up in here, but it's harder to do that, obviously, because you don't have limbs to hang on to, right? So you got to hang on. You got to hang on to a jersey. You got to be strong in your hands. You got to be forearm strong. That's why a lot of linemen do like drills to obviously to the famous fake dude with the number, and then you push him on the sled. That's exactly what that drill is for. Essentially, is to keep your hands inside.
Keep your hands inside and
right. Control the base of the body and don't grab and try and, because that's actually should be illegal. You can't just some dude jukes you and you're trying to tackle him. You can't just grab his face mask because it's the closest thing to you because he just made you fall down. That's the same thing with like linemen. You can't just grab his arm because he's about to go around you. You can't just be like, oh shit. And obviously that's illegal. That means he beat you. Like, no, you can't go to my. I love the ones that fall down, bro. They're back, and and the dude just bull rushes them, and they just straight on their back. He pancakes them on defense. It's fan. I'm like, oh boy, that's rough. That's rough. I know some offensive linemen. They're hilarious. They're hilarious guys.
Okay, before we wrap up,
did you show your thighs on a podcast tonight? You showed your calves, didn't you?
Yeah, calves. Yeah, I didn't show the thighs. Nobody
loved it.
Nobody needs to see that. The thighs are a completely different.
It looks like it looks like a It looks like a He-Man doll that I dropped in the sink when I was shaving. That's what your thighs look like. Like just like there's like a lot of like. It's very like coarse
muscle and hair.
Just muscle and just fucking. You look like a fucking centaur. Just like fucking all it is fur and muscles.
Fur and muscles.
Fur and muscle.
Good God.
All right.
Any final thoughts tonight, buddy?
Go Yankees, buddy. I'm enjoying this every second of this.
It's a good
just
run.
Watching your Red Sox just
shit the bed,
rot there in the cellar. How's the cellar?
They're pulling a page out of Amber Heard's book and just shitting on the bed.
Just shit in the bed. Call Adam Jones from the Orioles and ask him how the fucking basement is. He was doing that for a while. That's rough.
I'm about to send Barry Bonds a letter and be like, "Hey, can you just go hit for the Red Sox?
What's it like? The first thing I would ask him is, Barry, what's it like to never win? How much of your life has been just losing? Like, are you trying to prove something? I love Barry Bonds. I love him, but he does not win.
All right, buddy. I love you. For those of you watching, thank you for joining us. We will be back next week. Don't forget, you can catch us on Sports Report Monday nights at 10 Eastern. We'll be back here next week at 11:30 Eastern. And I am on the Winter Meetings, a baseball podcast, 9 p.m. Eastern on Sunday nights. Please catch me there for more talk on baseball. For all of us at Pinfall Streams, thank you for joining us tonight. Everybody have a great week.
And on my gravestone, it will read, I love Veronica Corningstone. I just wanted to...